All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Ephraim. Before we get started, I want to start off by saying Ahaya Bayeshem, Yeshua HaMashiach, Baruch Atah Adonai, for now and forever. And all my new subscribers and old alike, when you subscribe to the page, hit the red subscribe button, and when the box pops up, select all, so that way you'll be notified of all my new videos that I upload, my new lessons, Shabbat service, and I have something new I've implemented called Real Talk Tuesdays. So you guys can check that out as well. So hope everyone is in good spirits today. I felt led to do this. This quasi lesson, but I need and want my Muslim brothers and sisters worldwide, especially the Nation of Islam, which is an offshoot of Al-Islam. The Nation of Islam was actually started by Mr. Farad Muhammad, who taught Elijah Muhammad, and he kind of went from there. Of course, everyone knows that's where Malcolm X, came. He's probably the most famous, not probably, he's the most famous Nation of Islam Muslim, even more so than Minister Farrakhan. So I really want you guys to listen to what I'm saying today, because number one, I'm uniquely qualified to give this lesson or this oratory, right? It's not a secret to my supporters that, when I shared my testimony, on my journey of enlightenment, back in the day, I was a 5%er, Nation of Gods and Earths. And for those of you who don't know what that is, the 5% Nation of Gods and Earth, that was started by Clarence the 13X, who was a student of Elijah Muhammad in the Nation of Islam. Okay, what is a 5%er? The basic premise of the 5% ideology is that 85% of the people, the population on this planet, are dumb, deaf, and blind to the truth of who they really are. 10% of the people of the population on this planet know the truth and keep the truth hidden from the 85%. And the 5% are the poor righteous teachers who know the truth and know who the true and living God is. And it's our job to teach and civilize the 85, or civilize the 85, as we used to say back in the day. And I say this in all humbleness. I'm not being arrogant, but it ain't too many brothers that can stand in front of me in terms of, because I've been where you are. If you haven't been where I am, then you can't really, you don't know what I know, then it's hard for us to have a conversation, right? But because I've been where you are, and I want to talk about a lot of things. I try not to be all over the place, but I've heard so many different things, over the years. A lot is propaganda. There's some truth mixed in, some falsehood, whatever the case may be. But, we live in an age of information now. So if anyone is ignorant, it's because they made a conscious choice and decision to be that way. There's no reason for anyone to be ignorant in today's age of information and what we have access to. We have access to way more information than we've ever had. Right, we're not confined to just a book from school or trying to go to the library, going to the bookstore, whatever the case may be. Anything you need to know or want to know about, it's at your fingertips, literally, right, on your phone, your laptop, computer, whatever. So there's no excuse to be ignorant, right? Now I'm gonna, like I said, this lesson, what I'm giving today, is not meant to disrespect anyone, to downgrade. Because, like I said, I come from, especially if some of my 5% brothers find their way to this video. I want you all to listen and hear me closely. Okay. I have and I was also a Sunni Muslim. I went from being a 5%er to a Sunni Muslim. I'm talking, Jumu'ah on Fridays, offering Salat 5 times a day. Come on, stop playing with me. I've been there. My name was Ahmed Shakur. That was my Muslim name, right? My enlightener from Brooklyn, he was a 5%. That's where the 5% Nation of Gods and Earth started at. It started in Brooklyn by Clarence the 13X. My enlightener, his real name was Jeff, but his 5% name was Almighty Knowledge. Okay, so my thing is, when I took on the 5% Nation, he kind of pretty much brought me in, whatever the case may be. My thing is, whatever I commit myself to, I'm 120% sold out to it, right? So the goal as a 5% is you want to you want to born your cipher complete. How do you do that? That's an expression for me that you have to acquire 120 degrees of knowledge, 120 degrees of wisdom, and 120 degrees of understanding. That equals to 360 degrees right there. Boom, your cipher is complete when you master that. When you master 120, right, then you become what we used to call back in there. You become Almighty God, right? So that's what it was with me. I was sold out. It was new, it was exciting. The black man created himself in triple stage darkness. You had to know the day's lessons. You had to be able to manifest. Back in the day, you could literally get beat up if you was fronting like you was God and didn't know the lessons and didn't know your math. I mean, it was that serious. So I'm telling you all that to say, for those who heard what I just said and the real ones, y'all know that, without me even saying that, I'm a real one. So I'm not coming from a perspective of just kind of running my mouth about what I heard. Nah, I lived that life. I was a 5%er, which some actually take offense to being called a 5%er, but whatever. I was a 5%er to the heart. Bottom line. The premise of this lesson today is that we have to be real with ourselves. You brothers that's claiming Islam, I don't care if it's 5% Nation, Al-Islam, Orthodox, Sunni, whatever. We have to be honest with ourselves, okay? Muslims is, first of all, Islam, right? And I was in it. Islam is not a religion for Negroes or for black people. It's not. Islam was made for the Ishmaelites, black people. Let's start here. Negroes, African Americans especially. You are not from the bloodline or the seed of Ishmael. Okay, you're not, right? And if you believe you are, well, prove it, and prove it more importantly, prove it to yourself that you are, because you are not from the seed of Ishmael. You are not. Islam was not meant for you or for us. Okay. Now, whether you believe that or not is of no consequence to me, but it's the truth. Now, I can genetically prove it, and I can also scripturally prove it, and I've done that. So I'm not going to even get into a debate with that, right? But the reality is, Arab Muslims had a huge part in black people being sold into slavery. We have pictorial proof. We have plenty of pictures of what I just stated. Okay, we do. And that's the harsh reality. Enough of this trying to romanticize, because let me tell you something. One of the main reasons why a lot of brothers took up Islam and rejected Christianity is because Christians, well, actually Muslims, were pretty much Christians' enemies. So black people looked at it like, oh, so y'all don't like Muslims, huh? So that was like the okay, I'm gonna be that, right? And because it was looked at as kind of anti-establishment, right? Rebellious. I reject your Christianity and your quote unquote your white God or your white Jesus, and I'm over here with Islam. Yeah, I'm Muslim. Yeah, because it felt good. It felt better in our spirit, because it felt like we was a part of something that was anti what we were going through, anti-establishment. And when in reality, that was just perception. But see, back in my days, and I hate to say it like I'm like just so old, but back in we didn't have access to the internet. We didn't have access to a lot of the information that a lot of you all have access to now. So we didn't know any different. It felt good to us because it felt like there was a part of the anti-establishment. Yeah, us against them. So no, I ain't no Christian. I reject that. I reject your white God. I reject your pork. Yeah, and forget that. All that. That's right. Muslim, right? But the reality is, my brothers and sisters, is we were enslaved by Arab Muslims. That's the reality. Okay, no more romanticizing that. No more trying to gloss it over, right? Did it ever dawn on you? Now this is to you, Nation of Islam brothers. Y'all never thought about why this Farad Muhammad, who, if you look at him, you can say what you want. You can claim that, it's not him, this and that. Look, we all know who Farad Muhammad is. It never dawned on you why y'all called this man Master? Master Farad Muhammad. And y'all still call this white man Master. I mean, let's be real. You never thought about that? You never called Elijah Muhammad master. But clearly, when you see this Farad Muhammad, clearly he's European looking. I mean, obviously you could tell he has some kind of different kind of background. But on initial looking at this man, you can Google pictures of him. He looks like a white man on the surface. It never strikes y'all as odd or funny that this man had y'all calling him master. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there, giving you something to think about. Maybe something you've never thought about, right? But Nation of Islam is an offshoot of al-Islam. As a matter of fact, a lot of Muslims call Islam, well, not so much anymore, but they used to call it Farrakhanism, because it was based off because Minister Farrakhan is the leader of that movement of the nation. All right, and again, this is not a disrespect or knock to the brother Minister Farrakhan. I have a lot of respect for him. Right, from a social standpoint, I think the Nation of Islam has done, our people have done a lot of good from a social standpoint. Right, but that all that Islam religion, nah, man, that we that's not us, because this is the meat and the gist of why I'm doing this lesson today or whatever. Because if you're a so-called Muslim, and I don't care if you're in Africa, I don't care if you're in America, I don't care if you're in Brazil, if you're a Negro and you're a so-called Muslim, well, guess what? You might as well just go ahead and be a Christian. Yeah, that's right. You might as well go ahead and be a Christian, because the reality is Christianity and Islam are both religions of our oppressors. Let me say that again. Christianity and Islam are both religions of our oppressors. Do you know that Arab Muslims refer to us, some behind our back, some in our face, because we don't understand what it means, as Abid? You know what Abid means? Abid means slave. Okay? Yeah, they'll accept you into their religion, but behind their back, behind our backs, that's how they talk about us. That's what they call us. Yeah, anyone will accept you that wants you if you want to take up what they're doing, what they got going on. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can sit here and offer salat together and go to Juma on Fridays together and kick it like all is good, all is well. No, all is not well when you help sell my people into slavery. See, we gotta deal with the harsh reality of things. Christianity, if that's your perspective, the Christianity and the so-called white God and all this and that, all these other little things that you talk about, if that's your excuse for claiming Islam, then truthfully you have no excuse, because they both are religions of the people who oppressed us. How and why could you be a part of any organization that had a hand in oppressing you or oppressing your ancestors, oppressing your people? That is the harsh reality. Islam is not a religion for us. All right? And this is not anti-Islam. So don't get it twisted. This is not anti-Islam. All right? I'm speaking the truth to my people who have spiritual ears, and hopefully they can hear. Okay, we need to get away from trying to gloss over history, because now what we've done is we've turned history into his story for real, or more appropriately, our story. Because we pick up the things that we like and just kind of pretend the things that we don't like is not there or it didn't happen. And we have to stop that. And this is coming from a man I've been there. Okay, I have been there. I'm at a whole different level now in terms of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. A totally different level. I don't know if you all have heard the little story about because after the transatlantic slave trade, when a lot of blacks were dropped off in North America and South America, just all over the transatlantic. Well, a lot of slaves in here in the South, which most of the slaves, and a lot of the slaves came through Charleston, South Carolina. They brought Hebrew words with them. A lot of people thought that massa was a bastardization of master, because a lot of slaves would use that word massa, right? That's been a generally accepted thing of why slaves said massa when referring to their oppressor, right? And I've even seen it say that so-called massa means oppressor in Hebrew. Now, I haven't verified that, But I'm gonna give you my theory, my hypothesis. I personally think, now I don't know this for a fact, but I feel very strongly in my spirit that Massa was referring to our Islamic captors and oppressors. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Why do I say that? Let me tell you. Let me show you rather. See, what's never talked about is that Ishmael also had 12 tribes. Ishmael had 12 sons. See, the Most High said in Scripture when Abraham wanted to get rid of Ishmael and his mother Hagar, the bondwoman, it grieved him at his heart. Why? Because Hagar gave him a son when he didn't think Sarah, his wife, could have any children. And bottom line is, regardless of what you thought, that was his son, period, his firstborn. He came before Isaac. Isaac, the children of the seed, the children of the promise, the children of the covenant came from Isaac, yes, but we cannot get away from the fact that Ishmael was Abraham's firstborn son. And in that, there is no doubt. So that being said, it grieved him at his heart to turn him away. But Sarah told him she didn't want Hagar, Ishmael there anymore. And him and Hagar had to go. And even though it grieved him, the Most High told Abraham, listen to your wife. All right? Submit to your wife's desire. You let Ishmael and the boy go. I got him. I'll make sure he's all right. I'm going to make him the leader of a great nation. That great nation became the Muslims. Back then they were called Ishmaelites. Now they're called Arabs or Arab Muslims. But more appropriately, they really should be referred to as Ishmaelites. But in order to know who the Ishmaelites, the direct descendants of Ishmael are, you have to know their DNA. And I'm not even going to get into that right now. But that's what they're appropriately. That's what they should be called, not Arab Muslims, because the so-called Arab Muslims of the day. Let me share something with you. A lot of them are Edom. Okay, they're not Ishmaelites. The Ishmaelites are not in power, even though the Most High told them. And you can look at history. Muslims, Arab Muslims, Ishmaelites, whatever, have never been slaves. They have never been conquered. They are very rich, right? So the Most High told them, I got them. Don't worry about them. So why do I think that slaves that were brought over here to America were using the term massa? Because I personally feel, because see, one of Ishmael's 12 sons, wait for it, his name was Massa. Yeah, Massa. Massa, however you want to pronounce it. It was Massa, right? And if you look at the pictures, there's plenty of pictures of Arab Muslims abusing Negroes, abusing black people. There's pictures of Arab Muslims with slaves on their way over to be dropped off. Like you can't deny this, my black people. You cannot deny that this is the honest to God's truth. It's facts. You can Google it. I don't care. You can, I'm telling you the truth. And it's not what I think. It's not my story. It's history. Right? So if you want to claim that Christianity is the quote unquote white man's religion and the religion of your oppressors and yada yada yada, well, Islam is no different. Islam is no different. It's really not. And you have to think about that. Right? Are you being a hypocrite? Me personally, once you come into the knowledge of something, right? And please don't get it twisted. I to this day, there's certain concepts of being a 5%er that I stand on. Concepts. I think they're more like life concepts, accepting things for what they are, not for what they could be. Being able to show and prove, when you believe something. Is it an actual fact? Can you show and prove? And that's my thing. To this day, there's plenty of concepts from being a 5%er that I look at as life concepts that I'm grateful and I'm humble and I'm thankful for. Okay, so this is not a diss to the Nation of Islam. This is not a diss to the 5% nation of God's on earth. This is not a diss to Islam. It's not a diss to Christianity. I'm trying to get my brothers and sisters that practice this religion known as Islam. I don't care if you're a Nation of Islam or you're a Sunni Muslim walking around with a hijab or a kufi, you know, just Sunni. I used to call it being Sunni down. Right? When I first went to a masjid, man, it was, I mean, I just thought it was fascinating to me to see people of different colors and different races coming together. I mean, if you think about it conceptually, yeah, that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. But see, Nation of Islam became more of a segregationist thing, like for black people. It made it like you know, I don't know if that came from Elijah with the Nation of Islam, but the Nation of Islam became a quote unquote black thing. That's not Islam. That's not what Islam is about. I'm just putting it out there. Islam is supposed to, allegedly supposed to be for all people that accept, you know, that there's one God. You know, Islam, they don't believe that Jesus is the Son of God. They believe that Yeshua is a righteous prophet, but they don't believe that he is a righteous. They don't believe that he is the Son of God, but they do believe in Yeshua. They do believe in his mother Mary. They're both talked about in Quran. Okay. So, I mean, I can go into scriptures and surahs in the Quran where, you know, I mean, they give Jesus the utmost respect. So there's no disrespect there. They just don't believe that he is the Son of God. They don't think any man is worthy or should be called the Son of the Most High, who they call Allah. All right? Allah is not a different kind of God. Allah is the Arabic name for the Most High God of Israel. The same God that promised Abraham to make Ishmael and his descendants that of a great nation. So for some reason, people tend to, you know, conveniently forget that or gloss that over, right? Don't get it twisted. Ishmaelites, they are still of Shem. They dwell under the tents of Shem. They are also still God's people. So this isn't a knock. This isn't a disrespect to Islam at all. Please don't get it twisted. It's not. I'm speaking to my brothers and sisters who want to take up the religion. Someone made a joke a long time ago, but it was true and profound. And I think it was surrounding Saddam Hussein, and he said, man, people keep talking about how come they can't just kill him? How come they can't just kill him? He said, man, it's hard to kill somebody that pray 5 times a day. You know, and it was kind of funny. I chuckled, but I was like, wow, you know, I mean, think about that. Like somebody that pray 5 times a day, you know, like, yeah, man, hey, you know, you would think that you praying 5 times a day, man, somebody looking out for him. You know, so, but it made me think. I like little stuff like that. It made me just kind of think on a more, you know, profound level, right? But I just said that to say, you know, so this is no disrespect. I'm just trying to get my people to look at it from a different perspective. Okay, the reality is, Negroes, historically, we have been through it. We are still going through it. Okay, y'all talking about all this Islam stuff. Where was Arab Muslims? Where was the Muslims when we was going through what we was going through in the 1800s, 1900s, just the 50s, the 20s, the 30s? Where were they at? Where were these Muslims? Where were they? Right? Okay, we already knew we didn't have any friends with these European Christians. We already knew that. Right? Yes, it was easy to reject the concept of Christianity because they lied to us. They bastardized. They picked and they cherry picked the Bible and said things that would keep us subjugated and keep us ignorant and keep us thinking wrongly that Yeshua or Jesus was a white man with blue eyes and looked like them, and he was God. And because he was God and he was white and they were white, they were better than us, and we had to be their slaves. I get it. It was so easy to reject that theology, right? But the rejection was based on a bunch of lies. The rejection was based on a bunch of mischaracterizations and straight up lies. Okay, that's why they forbid slaves to read back then. They didn't want us finding out the truth. They didn't want us finding out that they was lying to us. They was misleading us. They was bamboozling us. They was brainwashing us. That's all it was. It's a form of brainwashing. And I hate to say it, but to this day, our people are still institutionalized. We are still walking remnants of what our ancestors went through slavery. Because a lot of that brainwashing, a lot of that mentality, we have that to this day, man. I mean, we do. Willie Lynch, man, whether you believe that he was a fictitious person or not, it doesn't matter. See, I don't worry about stuff like that, because the reality is what Willie Lynch said is true. Rather it was a real person or a fictitious person that said it. As far as, you know, maintaining the slave, keeping black people slaves. See, because slavery, listen, whether you guys understand or know it or not, slavery exists right now today in 2021. In America, in Africa, all abroad. And I don't mean slavery. Yeah, no. You know, we're not in chains. Well, at least, well, some of us are. It's called the prison system, right? It just operates under a different premise. Slavery is still alive and well. What about mental slavery? Huh? Majority of our people are mentally enslaved. So yeah, we might not be walking around with yokes of iron around our neck and chains on our feet, and on the railroad or in the cotton fields, you know, singing Kumbaya, right? But slavery still exists. See, when your brain is enslaved, it renders you inactive. You can't act. You can't do anything because you have a certain mentality, right? There's a name for that. It's called Stockholm Syndrome. Believe it or not, black people to this day, are being affected by what our ancestors went through through slavery. I believe that to be historically and culturally true, and also psychologically true. I believe that with every fiber of my being. But what are you going to do about it? See, we have conditions, you know, it's about the conditions that we're in as a people, right? We can't agree. We won't agree on anything. That's why we're all over the place, because we don't know who the hell we are. We don't know where we really came. Majority of us don't know where we came from. Right now today, you stop a black person on the street and say, "Where you from?" "I'm from Detroit." "Nah, I mean, like, where your ancestors from?" "Oh, Africa." And 95% of the time, that's the answer you'll get. Now, even with that said, if they say, "Well, I'm from Africa," then the question becomes, okay, well, Africa's a pretty big place, so where at in Africa? And that's where they get stumped. They don't know, and that's my point. We're a people who don't know where the hell we're from. So if we don't know where we're from, how do we categorize ourselves? When we that's why we're all over. We don't know if we're Muslims. We don't know if we're Israelites. We don't know if we're Christians. We don't know. Heck, we don't know if we're Buddhists. We don't know if we're agnostics. We just don't know. We're all over the place. And it's because we were never able to attach ourselves with an identity. Right? And that starts with knowing where the hell we came from. Our history did not start with slavery on those doggone ships. That's not our history. And unfortunately, too many black people, they don't even care to find out their history. They don't even care to know where they're from. They don't even care to know where their ancestors started out, where they started from. That's the truly sad part. Right? Heck, we all know civilization started in Africa. You ain't saying nothing new and profound. Okay, you from Africa. Where at in Africa? Africa's a pretty big place, my brother, my sister. It's a pretty big place. Where at? Okay, can you show me on the map where your ancestors from, where your ancestors dwelled? 10 times out of 10, the average black person cannot. And I'm saying that because, to me, that is a huge part of the problem. That is a huge part of our issues, not just in America, like I said, but abroad, in Africa. Our African brothers and sisters, man, listen, I love my people. I love all my people in Africa and Brazil and Puerto Rico, Dominica, all these places, Haiti. I love my people, period. Because I'm in the know. I know who I am and I know who we are collectively. The problem is the majority of us don't. So that's not doing us any good. That's not helping us. That's not helping our conditions. Black folks is catching hell. Negroes are catching hell. Let me start saying that, because there's a lot of all black folks, all Negroes are black people, but not all black people are Negroes. So let me start referring to us as who we are, just like the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. The Negroes across the world are catching hell, have been catching hell, continue to catch hell. because it starts with an identity crisis. Ever since we got off those boats, ever since the transatlantic, we've been fighting with ourselves, fighting among ourselves, because we don't know who we are. Now, I said yesterday, the truth is, Negroes have been against each other well before slavery. Yes, the narrative is that slavery and white slave masters taught black people how to hate. My brother Chuck D, Public Enemy, loved them. One of my favorite groups said back in the day, the hater taught hate. That's why we gang banging. Not quite, Chuck D. Not quite. We have been at each other ever since the northern and southern kingdom split in Israel, in Northeast Africa. That's where our history starts. If you really want to know, if you really want to embrace, if you're really sincere in finding out and knowing without a shadow of a doubt who you really are, my Negro black people, I implore you, right? And I say this with all respect and all love, because I do love you. I love you all. I don't care if you're rocking a hijab or a kufi, or, if you're a Christian brother or sister like that. We are all from the same seed. Our DNA, the same blood flows in our veins. And that's what makes it even sadder, the fact that we kill each other more than the police. We just don't hear about it. Why? Because it's become commonplace. We literally kill each other more than the police. Black Lives Matter? Oh, conceptually, yes. Realistically, yes. As a movement, hell no. I'm good. But that's another discussion for another time. Black Lives Matter is not our movement. It's not. Black Lives Matter is toxic femininity dressed up as a black movement. But it's not. That's another topic for another day, and I'll address that. But Black Lives Matter, you damn right. But how can Black Lives matter if black lives don't matter to black people? Come on here now. We kill each other more than anybody. We're doing people's jobs for them. We're doing, come on. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. Conceptually, realistically, yes. I wholeheartedly agree. But we can't just march and kick up dust when the cops kill us. Now, granted, the cops are supposed to protect and serve us. They're not supposed to kill us. I get that. That's not what I'm talking about. I totally get that. My vision ain't blurry. I ain't no whitewashed brother. Please don't ever get me twisted. I get it. Right? But what I'm saying to my people is that it starts with us. Right? We can argue later. Let's put this fire out. Okay, we can kind of argue about the small stuff later. All right. My brother KRS-One said back in the day, rappers are in danger. Well, my brother, Negroes, black people are in danger and have been for a very long time, because we're not unified. We're not together. Unity is more than just, a rally or saying a few words. For me, unity, there's an action connotation that goes with coming together, that goes with unity. Right? There is. So I'm not on a soapbox, my people, but what I'm telling to each and every one of you that's listening to me, listening to the sound of my voice, we have to reevaluate. Who are you? Who are you really? Majority of you, I've been where you are, okay? I've been there. I've been Christian. I've been a pastor in Christianity, huh? Apostolic realm, fivefold ministry, yeah. I've been a 5%er. Couldn't tell me nothing. I was Almighty God. I've been there, huh? I've been where you at. I've been Sunni Muslim. Took my Shahada. Salat 5 times a day. Jumu'ah on Fridays. To this day, my first Ramadan taught me discipline like I've never learned. Everything that I've went through along my journey of enlightenment taught me something, and that's why the Most High finally brought me here, home, of who I really am and where I really came from. Black people, we are not Muslims. We are not Christians. Christianity was started by the Roman Constantine. He started Christianity. That image of Jesus, I did a lesson on that. That man's name is possibly Caesar Borgia. He was the model for for the image of Christ that we know of today, the false image of Christ. We are not Christians, black people. They've been lying to you. You've been led astray. We are not Muslims, my black people. We're not. I don't care if it's nation, Sunni, whatever you want to call it. We're not that. That's not who we are. Okay? Negroes are the lost children of Israel. I highly, highly recommend you look into the truth of that. Because once you start to really uncover who you really are, it opens things in your mind like you've never experienced. I promise you. I'm tired of seeing us wearing other people's gear, practicing other people's religions, being a part of other people's movements. I'm tired of it, man. I mean, bless our hearts. I love us. God in heaven knows I love us, even when we don't love each other. I've been in the streets, right? I'm from the hood, man. Don't get it. Don't let all this Dr. Ephraim stuff get it twisted. I wasn't born 53 years old. I wasn't born who I am right now today. I'm from the hood, man. I ran the streets with cats anyway, that's a whole another testimony. So when I speak, I'm speaking from I'm uniquely qualified to speak on what I'm speaking about. I have not met one brother that's on the level I'm at in terms of have been all over the place and have done this, done that. I've met not one brother, not one. See, and I'm coming from a place of respect, of love. We have to really reevaluate ourselves, black people. My Negroes, all over the world, all in Africa. Okay? You're so quick to want to deny the fact of you being an Israelite. Well, why are you so quick to embrace that you're something else? Why would you want to be something that you're not? I don't understand. Please help me understand that. And why are you so afraid to find out who you really are and embrace that? What's so wrong about you being a child of Israel, about you being a chosen person of the Most High God, the person that created the heavens and earth? What's so bad about that? Why do you reject that? So why do you Egyptologists, brothers and sisters, want to hang on to the fact of Egyptology and Egypt like it's so great, right? Really, I mean, and embrace that. What about that speaks to your spirit? Because yeah, Egyptians, the original ones, did a lot, but they also they did a lot of bad things too. They were into a lot of bad practices. They really were. I mean, why would you embrace something, like I said, because you want to romanticize the good stuff about Egypt. You want to romanticize that. You want to throw out the bad stuff. You want to throw out the homosexuality that was prevalent in Egypt and stuff like that. You don't want to deal with that. No. Oh no, you don't want to deal with that. You want to deal with the myth and the mythology of Egypt, right? You want to deal with that. You want to romanticize it. You want to wear your little ankh and your little Egyptian makeup and think you're strong, think that makes you a warrior. No, that makes you a losing follower, because you don't know who you really are. And that's the sad part. It upsets me. It's sad because we're all over the place because we have no identity, my people. It starts with finding out and embracing who you really are. You talk about, the Most High raised me up. I brought the DNA to us. You try to talk against that. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. The Most High says, listen, I'm going to raise up one of mine from the tribe of Ephraim, one of us, to let you know, okay, if you don't believe who you are by scripture, maybe your blood, maybe the fact that Negro's DNA is the most unique in the world. No other race of people on this planet has the DNA that Negroes have. What I just said is a genetic fact. Don't let anyone tell you any differently. No white man owns DNA. Okay, that's a disrespect to God. God created man. So how can God create man, but another man owns what God created, our blood and our DNA? That's ridiculous. God blew breath into man, period. We are a product of the Most High. He said we was made in his image, right? Right? So if we were made in the image of God, well, why aren't we conducting ourselves like that? Why are we killing each other? Why are we disrespecting our women? Why are our women disrespecting us? That doesn't sound like the image of God to me. It does not. But y'all so quick to want to hold on to these little, ideologies. Yeah, a black man is God. Okay, really? What does that mean, really? Because if the black man is God, I don't see God smoking weed, drinking liquor, having unmarital sex, sisters letting brothers give them babies and not marry them and just have a bunch of kids. And the God is leaving them to raise them by themselves. Where's the God in that, my brothers? Where's the God in that, my sisters? We got to do better. It starts with getting the pride of knowing who we are, of who you are. Know who you are really, not who you think you are, not who you've been pretending to be all your life, but who are you really? You start with that. You get the answer to that, my brothers and sisters, and then we'll truly be on a journey to becoming united, and we can give these people back their religions and back their movements and truly start to make a difference in our lives, in the lives of our children. This is Dr. Ephraim signing off, saying, Hayya B'Yashim Yeshua HaMashiach Baruch Atah Adonai.